Greetings, CWALers and miscellaneous reprobates. I'm Jayj, and this is Game 2 of Fron vs. Jayj of the official CWAL Starcraft 2 beta tournament. After the first game on Steps of War, which I uncharacteristically won, Fron had the right to choose the new map, and he chose Metalopolis for reasons that are not entirely clear to me, but that probably had to do with not wanting to get his ass rushed again. As it turned out, having picked random, he drew Terran, his self-professed weakest race. As usual, the standard procedure for Zerg is to float an overlord over to the next main over, just to see if someone dropped there, and as it turns out, Fron was right there. I got an early look at his build, but it looks like a fairly standard build with no expansion. Meanwhile, after seeing that he drew Terran, I decided to go with a somewhat typical gamble, in that I was hoping that with no early refinery, that Fron might not be Reaper harassing. So I chose to go with a 15 pool and 16 hatch build, which is a fast expansion, hoping to get an early economic overhaul, or economic advantage. His scouting SCV, meanwhile, I tried to send 2 and then back off to 1 drone to harass it, hoping to kill it before it can see too much. Fron just waypoints a bunch of random spots around to try to stall and keep the drones away so that he can see as much as he can, which tends to work out for him. Meanwhile, he's initiating a standard Terran wall-in, along with just getting his refinery up, enough to get Marauders and too late to get Reapers, at least to be effective. As usual, I've got my hatchery going up, and almost immediately after my extractor, making an overlord, and then transitioning into making a few zerglings and my queen. Probably in an attempt to forestall any possible baneling busts, he is walling off with double barracks. Somewhat unusual on this map, but as it does risk early zergling attempts. But it seems to be effective, and he clearly saw that I was going for an early expo, as he leaves just when, just before the Zerglings come out to kill him. He claims he didn't have that SCV go back to base, but it worked well enough. He saw my my pool. However, Fron confessed that he only really knows one solid Terran build. It is a timing push. Marine Marauder Rush, a very typical bio build that is particularly effective against Zerg Fast Expo, which is what I built. I've got a few too many minerals here, and not having enough larvae to spend it on, I continue to eat it up. I know, of course, that him be going bio with 2 barracks, roaches and hydras are not the most effective combination. However, I am expecting something along the lines of Banshee harass in the near future, so I don't quite want to go to an early Spire and Mutalisks just yet, especially since I'm trying to gain a bit more of a solid econ advantage. I'm hoping to keep off the bio ball until such time as it becomes more practical. Meanwhile, he's building up a little bit, and he's already started researching his infantry weapons level 1. The reason why it's called a timing push is that the objective is to get enough forces for a solid push just as the infantry weapons level 1 finishes upgrading to make them especially effective against early troops before any opposing forces can get any decent upgrades. I've got quite a few Zerglings massed up. Got another queen out, and macroing like mad while still keeping up production of a few Zerglings. Meanwhile, he's got a very solid force here, a reactor and a tech lab, already researching the combat shield to give Marines more health. If he continuing on this way, I have a clear advantage. I'm also putting up a Hydralisk Den in an attempt to fight early Banshees. And I'm also researching Pneumatize Carapace, the Overlord's speed, so that I can quickly sacrifice an Overlord to scout. As is typical for this map, I have an Overlord behind the smoke in an attempt to spot drops, and Fron is similarly making a supply depot behind the smoke in case of an Overlord drop. It happens every once in a while. Here comes the timing push. Weapons have completed. Combat shield is completed. Here he comes with, looks like, 4 Marauders and 16 Marines. A very hefty force. Tries to kill an Overlord and succeeds in pop-blocking me. Almost. My Zerglings here just don't quite have enough of a chance. I see it coming, and have 2 Hydralisks trying to pick off, but they just can't do enough, and the Zerglings are just shit against Terran Bio, or practically anything else really. He has his barracks rallied to a point outside my base. Meanwhile, I'm producing on all cylinders. The only reason why I didn't cut to good game right then was because I managed to salvage these drones from my expansion and have them go to work on my main. This gave me enough of a salvaged econ to hold them off. At least until I could get something working. At this point, frantically trying to spawn larvae and hold him off just enough. Dancing back and forth in an attempt to not take too much damage on any one unit, while whittling away the enemy. He pulls back. Only 5 people left against 2 Hydralisks. Trying to make a spine crawler. At this point, he could have done serious damage if he pressed right then, but he delays just long enough to distract until some more of my troops come out. The Zerglings serve their intermediary purpose as meat shield. Meanwhile, Fron is expanding, trying to gain economic recovery and take advantage of his momentum. He retreats with his forces, not quite being able to sustain the onslaught, and knowing that Zerg production, especially with larvae, can probably outstrip him. Especially as I'm already developing some spine crawlers that would have held off his momentary push if he'd kept on trickling his forces in. Meanwhile, he's going factory, trying to go for the MMM plus T, which is Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, and tank support. I'm developing a Baneling nest. As everyone knows, Banelings are most effective as counters to the MMM bio approach of Terran. Their mass troops make it very, very easy to explode all over. Messy green beautifulness. I have enough minerals to try to make my hatchery again, and as soon as that's completed, I'll be able to divert some of my drones back.